everyone. Happy holidays. All right. Okay, good news. The energy doesn't seem as intense as last time. Well, in a good way. The anxiety doesn't seem as high. The healing energy's pretty intense. So we'll see where this goes today. Before we start, I just want to wish everyone happy holidays. I've gotten a lot of emails and some calls from people saying they're feeling extremely lonely in this holiday season. And yeah, you know what, it happens, right? Because there's everything that's going on, and families aren't really getting together, so a lot of people are feeling a lot more loneliness, or things are different for sure. It's something that we all can take at our own personal thing of how it affects us. And some people are really finding it tough, and there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of happy things going on, there's a lot of sadness, so it's kind of like this twofold that we're all feeling. So you know what, I would say take it in strides. A lot of people say they have ups and downs and ups and downs. True happiness comes from within, but it's not that simple. It's something that we talk about, that happiness comes from within. But on those days, it's easy for us to feel sad if we're alone or not invited somewhere or disinvited somewhere. We're all going through this kind of thing right now. So take a deep breath. I always find if I feel the 3D emotions coming up, I'll ground myself and say, okay, in the scheme of things, how big is this? Or, if someone has done something, well, where are they coming from? They're coming from their own perceptions, their own understanding. And can I blame them? No, look at what's being fed. And the thing is, as some people say, well, I'm not really being affected by the media. Well, we all are, because it creeps into our field. So if we don't take care of our energy fields, it gets denser and denser, and people will feel like they can feel very high and energetic, and just starts to creep down and creep down, and you start to feel a little shaky, more sad. So you kind of pull yourself up. It's like this roller coaster, right? So then there's other influences out there as well. There's a lot of changes in the energies around us. So even if I'm feeling good or you're feeling good, you can feel uneasy or anxious, and like, okay, what's going on? You're kind of feeling it. So a lot of people email me and say, okay, I'm feeling really anxious right now. Are you feeling it? And I said, well, if I tap into the 3D feeling, yeah, I feel it, but I don't want to tap into it. So I'm going to stay a little bit more removed. And people will notice if I tap into the 3D, what will happen is I look distant and distracted, because I start to think of, well, this should have happened, or why did that person say this, or my feelings are hurt because I wasn't invited here, or I was told this, or so if we all can get into that, and then have regrets or worries about the future. So it's kind of a personal thing. Like, we're all going through something very personal. We're all going through our own emotions, our own fears, our own thought patterns. So it's actually a beautiful process in a sense, although it can feel very icky. So when you have those moments when you're feeling down, be kind to yourself. We are human. We're allowed to feel a little bit hurt sometimes, or sometimes it's actually a healing in process. So sometimes something will trigger me, and I would feel like, okay, why am I being so triggered by something so simple? And sometimes it's up in my field and I can't figure it out. So I'll talk to another friend and say, okay, listen, be a third party. Don't become like, disattached from my feelings. Don't worry about how I'm feeling, but I'm going to explain the situation as a third party, and tell me, why am I reacting like, am I feeling irrational? And then I'll realize, if I say no, like, what you're feeling is irrational because the person didn't actually do anything. So then I say, okay, so what is it in me that's being triggered? So then I kind of sit with it, and I'll just say, okay, well, I get it, because when you're dealing with friends and families, we have these attachments, there's energetic cords there. So if somebody is running their own program and they say something, they do something that they feel is completely right, yet it affects you and a lot of people around you and you're hurt by it. Well, why does it hurt so much? It's because we have these energetic cords. So people we love or people we care for kind of hurt more. So if you want, there is a way to cut cords. And when you cut cords, you can ask your guides to energetically cut cords. And I always ask for anything that is no longer serving me. So and they'll cut the cords with situations or people that are no longer serving. So it's not like they're going to cut good cords. They're not going to cut anything that's beneficial for you. They're going to cut things that are not beneficial. So for instance, an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend, if they think about you, especially at this time in holiday season, those energetic cords can really tug on your heart because they're real. We can't see them, but they're there. So like, okay, why am I feeling heavy in my heart? Sometimes it's because someone you're no longer involved with is tugging on you energetically. So if you wake up in the morning and say, okay, I'm asking for all interference, all cords, I would like all cords cut that are no longer beneficial. There are a lot of usually I just kind of go on. I always ask for any dark interference, any broadcast messages, any cords, energetic cords, hooks, bindings in this lifetime, past lifetimes, something that's seen or unseen, hidden all levels. So really what I'm asking for is guides. If there's anything that I don't know about that's tugging on my energy, that's pulling on my heart and making me feel heavy, and it's not serving me, then please cut it. But sometimes the receiving person or the person you have the cord with doesn't want that cord cut. So they can sometimes reattach it, but you can go that next step. And if that person has an energetic cord, that sometimes it's unintentional, they don't know they're doing it. What I usually ask is that the cord, the person who's sending that cord, may that cord, because if I feel they need it, may it go right to source. Like may they connect directly to source. So they're being fed the energy, the love that they need, but it's not coming from me. So I'm not being affected. And then I ask for the wounds. Sometimes an energetic cord is attached because of a wound we have, a broken heart. It could be for many different reasons. So you can actually ask your guides, Archangel Raphael, to heal that wound so nothing can reattach. So I want that cord cut, and I want it cut permanently, and I don't want it reattached, and I don't want that person to suffer that I cut it with. So give their cord the energy from source that's needed for them. If it's someone that you don't care about what they're feeling, usually I say just cut the cord in the highest best for both of us. So we're never really sending something ill to someone. We don't want to do that. We just want to send everyone, okay, you know what? I'm taking care of me, but I want you to be okay. So hopefully their guides are going to take care of them, which I always do believe, because that intention is a positive intention that we're all feeling good at the end of this is beneficial for all of us. A lot of people who are in relationships, and sometimes they know the relationship's not working and they're scared to break up because of the other person's feelings and things like that. We see that all the time. Sometimes the breakup is actually a blessing for both sides. Is when we're stuck in these relationships, whatever type of relationships they are, there's this pattern of exchange and this pattern that continues. It could be like karmic loops happening over and over. So we're not really growing. So change is scary, and sometimes cutting those relationships or breaking apart from those relationships are scary. But in turn, what it does is sometimes it can cause both people to grow so beautifully that they wouldn't have grown before because they were just comfortable together. So sometimes the discomfort causes growth. So I know some people are conflicted. Shouldn't I? Should I? It's usually it's a very personal decision on what people decide to do. But from what I've seen in my own experiences and other people's experiences, those breakups can be tough. But what you're doing is you're breaking those patterns of behavior, which is allowing growth on both ends. And if you look back a few years, well, you say, wow, you know what? That person really grew. They're very different. They look more happier. And like you can look back and say, wow, they look happier now that they're not with me. But in a way, that was just part of our contract together. And we met the contract and we needed to break apart so we both can grow as needed. So sometimes breakups are hard, sometimes arguments, different perceptions is hard. We're in a real, I don't even know right now, this everything that's going on is so interesting. So sometimes I believe, like, wow, we're so lucky to be here, to be experiencing this ascension process as Earth is healing and humanity's healing. And so many more people are waking up and realizing that, hey, what's really going on here? But you can't force someone to wake up. They just have to do it naturally when they're ready, and it's so beautiful when you have someone come and ask you something. I don't usually go and preach my stuff wherever, because only if there's only some type of people who can handle what I'm talking about. Other people just look at me like, okay, she's crazy, so know what she's talking about, or they don't resonate with it, so they're not gonna listen. They wouldn't be on this call. They wouldn't get any benefit from it. So when people can sense the energy and they start to ask questions on their own, it's because their higher self is telling them they're ready. And that's the beauty of it. We're all opening up on our own journey, our own soul's journey. It's like a popcorn effect that's happening all over the world. So there's a lot of people out there that as they're awakening, they're starting to allow more light. And as they're holding on light, it's like light, little flashes of light all over the globe, and it's connecting because we're all connecting. So it's so beautiful. There's a lot of ickiness, but there's a lot of beauty in what's going on. There's a lot of, like, just watching two children play outside and smiling can brighten up anyone's day. Sometimes you see like a cat playing with a dog and it can make tears in your eyes. Or you're watching these funny videos where, a duck's cuddling with a cat or something, like little things like that. There's such love out there. And, when we choose what we're watching, we're being picky on, okay, what's coming on my field. Sometimes we need to be in the know. So we are, we might tap into what's being fed on the news and things like that. Generally, if I'm watching it because someone wants to get an update, I'll say access denied, permission denied, meaning I'll listen to your information, but you're not coming into my field. And I'll actually, like, people, if I'm doing it with family around, I'll actually say access denied, permission denied for any of us. So take the information, but we are not absorbing it, because there's a lot of stuff going out there that I totally disagree with. And I try not to get frustrated. So I don't want to get frustrated. I don't want it in my field. I'm just going to just push it out. All right. But I'm trying to stay in the know, but I only take it in bits and pieces, and I put up that protection. But there's a lot of people out there. And again, I'm not saying it's, everyone's going to do what they want to do, but a lot of people will watch news continuously. This becomes addictive. That lower energy in us wants to be fed that lower energy vibe, because when we feel bad, we want more bad. It's kind of, I've been there. I know it's not a good feeling, but you're resonating with the lower energy. So you're letting that come into your field. But my advice to a lot of people, it's just, be picky on what you bring in your field. I'm not saying don't watch the media. Yeah, it's nice to be in the know, but you know what? Watch in moderation. Why do you have to watch the same story over and over and over and over again? You got it. Shut it off. Watch something else. Read a book. Dance to music. Talk to a friend. Go for a walk. Just shut down that, because that's your field. That's your energy. You protect it as best you can. And the answers are really in your hearts. When you're hearing something and it doesn't resonate, then it's not your truth. Doesn't mean you don't have to, like, I would say don't listen to it if it doesn't resonate, because over time it can really start to collect in the field. And some people say, oh, I'm not affected. I watch the news 24/7 because I want to know, so I'm not affected. But I can tell they're affected. Their energy is so anxious. It's so heavy. I'm thinking, you think you're not affected because if you're feeling really great, and over time, you're going slowly down and the vibrational scale, it's getting heavier and heavier. You don't notice it because anything that happens in increments, you don't really notice it. But if someone who hasn't seen you in a while saw you all happy and bubbly and now see you here, we notice the difference in everything that you're doing, but you may not notice it. Just like, let's say you had a backache and you had a treatment done, went to a chiropractor, physio, whatever, you had some type of treatment done in your back. It may not be gone completely, but over time, the backache starts to go away. Well, you forget you even had a backache because it was such a gradual change or healing. Like, oh yeah, I did have a backache. So just like your energy decreasing, it happens slowly. So it's really neat. But once you start to be aware of it and you start to be more sensitive to your energy and you start to be a little more picky and discerning on what comes in, you're really taking care of yourself energetically and mentally and emotionally. But even when you do that, trust me, things still pop in. And the thing is, you just got to be on top of it. So here I am, happy as can be. All of a sudden, a negative thought comes in. Where's that negative thought come from? It's not my negative thought, but there are negative thoughts in the collective. And if we go to dark versus light, well, there's darkness is always sending us broadcast messages, and the light's always telling us, they love us. So we have these two opposing forces coming at us. Now, if I'm vibrating high, I'm going to really feel the good stuff. If I start to allow the bad messages to come in, I'm going to start to lower my vibration. Now I'm at a frequency where I'm getting more of the bad stuff, the stuff I don't like. I start to go down very quickly. But if I'm in a good place and I'm staying on top of it, because there's always messages coming to us from all sides. The dark never really stops giving us messages. It's endless. The higher, the happier you are, the harder they try to bring you down. And it usually comes in the form of a loved one. Very interesting. It's either a loved one's going to say something that hurts your feelings, a friend's going to call you, say something, and sometimes it's not directly to you. When you're feeling really good, like after a healing, you're feeling just watch it. Because if you're starting to notice it, you'll get a phone call from somebody who will then tell you their life story, what happened to them, and it's very sad, like listening to them. And you're like, oh, that's so sad. I'm so sorry. But my mood was up here. But if I'm not careful, it's going to drop because I'm listening to their issues and things like that. And then if you're not cognizant to take care of your own energy, you can start to drop. But I'm very aware of it. So whenever I'm feeling very high vibrational, I'm like on the lookout for anything. I'm like a virus scanner right now because I'm like, okay, somebody's going to text me something I don't like. Some situation might happen, and sometimes I think, okay, am I creating that? Am I doing that? And I always say, well, my house is full of love, joy, and happiness. Everything's moving with ease and flow, and I'm doing all the affirmations. I'm doing everything like I'm supposed to. And yet something's trying to get in. Well, I say from this side, with the negative stuff's trying to creep in. But if I'm on top of it, I can get rid of it. I'll ask the light to come dissolve it, help me get through this, let me deal with this and let it go. And then it's past history, it's gone. But if I sit there and not notice it, another thought will come in, then I'll start dwelling on it. Okay, this really pissed me off. Why did this happen? And then, we can easily fall almost to the victim state where like, oh my gosh, not this again. Oh, this is like a pattern of mine. Yeah, we all have patterns. We all have crap that comes to us. But we don't have to be that victim of it. We can put a stop to it and say, no, I'm going to take care of my energy. I'm going to stay as happy as possible. I'm not going to allow this loneliness or this to bother me. And I get it. It's really hard because right now we're being bombarded. And as I'm looking at the chat here, um, I think someone here has, okay, I think everyone can see that. It's about cutting cords. So that's one way you can cut cords as well if you want to take a look at that. Oh, someone said turn off my phone. You can hear beeping. I think it's on. Okay, I'll put it on do not disturb. Sorry. Thank you. And okay, I saw another thing. I'm in. Okay, so someone said, okay, that they're in so much pain from COVID. So I don't know if it's that they have COVID. I've had COVID, not very comfortable, or if it's just that they're in lots of pain emotionally because of COVID. I'm just looking here. I looked earlier, there was no question, so I'm just okay. And someone said I look nice in red, so thank you. All right. Oh, so okay, the person just said, "Oh, I have COVID." Okay, so actually, I have had COVID. That person's in pain. They're having COVID. So if you have COVID, it's not the nicest. Some people have it and they get nothing. So my family had it. The kids barely, like, it was nothing. I have asthma, so my asthma really kicked in, and I was tired. But there's other people who have different levels of it. So if someone's in pain, when you're in pain in any sickness, because there's a lot of people in sickness right now, what you want to do is the first thing, whenever you are told you have something, so whether as someone is told they have cancer, they have COVID, they have MS, they have this, they have that, what initially happens is your brain will say, oh no, I have this, and you will actually get worse for a short period of time. It could be a few days where you're kind of in more pain, you're emotionally more unstable, mentally not feeling well. That's because our brain has been told we have something. And if you think about it, if you've been told you have COVID, whether or not, you want to, like, say access denied, I'm not going to, it exists, it's there. So what happens is we start to panic because we hear about so many bad things with COVID. So then our bodies will start to really get worse. Or someone tells you have cancer, we actually get worse. If a doctor told someone you have 6 weeks to live with cancer, well, if that person believes in the doctor 100%, they will die within 6 weeks. But once someone's told something, if their belief system is different, like, yeah, I have COVID, but I know so many people who got over it like it was just a flu. Or, yeah, I have cancer, but so many people have beat cancer. If their belief system changes, what will then happen is their body's going to start to heal, or things are going to get less painful, and your body's going to start to heal, because it is our belief systems that can create a faster healing, or it's our belief systems that can make us go down. So that actually, that everyone's doing these rapid tests of COVID. So let's say someone has a sore throat and they do that test, and now it says positive for COVID. Well, what that positive thing now tells the person is you have COVID. You've just put in that fear into them. So I'm not loving those tests for people who have light thing. Just stay home. Don't do the test, perhaps, because now your brain says, oh, I have COVID. And all of a sudden the person's mental state goes back. They feel fearful, and then they get sicker, because emotions, when we're in unease, we get disease. So it's kind of connected to that mind body thing. So what happens is, when I had COVID, I was sick 3 times over the summer. And I didn't ever check. I just didn't take clients. I did my quarantine. I just, did online sessions, things like that. One time I had just a sore throat. One time I quarantined because I had a cough, and another time I had a massive headache. So I quarantined 3 times for those length of time that we had to. Well, in one of those, which I'm assuming was probably the one with my chest because I have asthma, it was really bad. I apparently had COVID, but I didn't know. I didn't do the test. I just quarantined. I found out after, because I did that immunity test, and they say, oh yeah, you definitely had Delta because your immunity is off the charts now. So in summer, I had it. But if I were to have done that test and I knew it, I could tell you I would have felt all the symptoms because my brain would have started to freak out, thinking, oh my God, I have this, and then I would have created it. So your bodies can heal. I mean, if you need medical attention, of course, with anything, energy work complements like regular medicine. So if you're doing energy work, go see the doctors and do whatever you feel is needed. So don't panic if you have it. Do your healings, talk to your body, say, I can get over this. And if you want, whoever this is, you can call me after and we can have a chat. And, just, from my perspective on when I had it, and I can kind of make you feel better. But again, you want to treat your own body. You know it well, so you know what you need, if you need attention or not. I chose not to because I thought, well, maybe it's just my asthma's kicking up, and I'll just, and it was, my asthma was bad, so I'm pretty sure was that time I had COVID. So we all know, okay, yeah, give me a call later. We'll give a quick chat over that. So no problem. So the thing is, our minds can play tricks on us. Our minds are powerful. Staying in love and light and connection, not being mad at people who are doing things you may not agree with. Although we all can feel very sensitive at this time. If someone's doing something they feel is right based on what they believe, and then we're feeling, no, it shouldn't be done this way. It's just take that step back and take a deep breath and just be as understanding, as non-judgmental as possible, as kind and compassionate, because the ones that are living with fear and anxiety are the ones that are really not, that it's got to be their way, or they're very uncomfortable. So, just kind of give them the distance and say, okay, do things as you're comfortable, because we can't force ourselves on people or insist on something. So you just kind of take a back step. It's not being a doormat, but it's just giving the people who need that extra space or time to process or what they need. Is fine. Try not to take their reactions or what they've done personally. Again, easier said than done. We're all going through this. Some people are feeling extremely lonely right now. I truly believe we are in this energy. It is getting better, but it's like we're in a dirty aquarium, and the aquarium is very dirty. Now think about it. If you're a fish and your aquarium's getting in the water is icky, you're in the darkness. You're in it. So it's very hard to see beyond it. But think about it. The aquarium's owner is out buying a new filter, is getting these really beautiful new things for the aquarium. So the aquarium's getting darker and darker, and the fish are getting scared and they don't know what's happening. Oh, the water's getting so dense I can't breathe. It's this, but in the background, there's so much things, so many good things happening. But all of a sudden, there's this switch where the new filter gets put in and the darkness starts to clear, and they have new plants and they have a new environment that feels so beautiful, and the fish are less stressed again. They're all relaxed, right? But that transition takes some time. And I'm not saying we're fish in aquariums. I'm just trying to give an example that we're kind of like, as humans, we're kind of in the thick of it. It's not easy what we're going through. We don't really see beyond like what's happening. But in my heart, and when you go into your heart, you can kind of feel that there's something positive coming out of it. The world's changing, yeah, and change is scary for sure. But over time, you have those twirling of the two energies, the dark and the light. The dark's leaving the planet. It knows it's leaving. It's 100% leaving. There is no doubt. There is that transition period as we go through the ickiness that we're feeling. So instead of jumping into the 3D world and polarizing and be angry and frustrated, take that deep breath and try to hold the light for yourself, for your family, and for anyone that you meet. Now, that's where you're most powerful, because when you're vibrating high, you're holding more light. Well, the darkness, that energy can't affect you. It's when we start to drop that it can jump in. Now, for some people will say, well, I'm an energy worker, I'm spiritual, or I'm holding light. How did I get COVID? Well, I've been doing spiritual work for 12 years. I've had colds, I've had flus, I've had laryngitis, I've had pneumonia. I mean, I've had many different things. We're still human. We don't keep our high vibe 100%. Our hearts ache when we see family members hurt or other people in humanity hurt. That drops our vibration. It's not easy to keep that our field 100% clear. If I were, and sometimes I wish I were, to live in a cave where no one could bother me and I could just meditate all day, I would never get sick because I'd be in like this beautiful Zen state all the time. But we live in the real world where we're interacting with people, and our feelings get hurt, and this is happening and that's happening. So we're human. And I mean, sometimes we have deaths in the family, a pet dies, a family member dies for whatever reason, even if it's old age and the person lived a good life, it hurts. We're human. You look at it from a different perspective. Wow, the person lived a beautiful life. Their transitioning is beautiful. But you go back to your humanness and it hurts because we miss them. So yeah, it's okay to have those feelings. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to dip, and don't be embarrassed if you got COVID. Who cares? It's everywhere and whatever. It's around. It's like the common cold. And maybe you don't really even have COVID. Maybe it's just a common cold because suddenly anyone who's sick has COVID because, it's amazing because I remember before COVID, I still had fevers now and then. I still had sore throats. I still had headaches. So all those symptoms magically disappeared, and now you only have COVID. So is I don't know. Does it even make sense? So yeah, you can label it anything. Yeah, you're a little bit under the weather and call it whatever, but it's not embarrassing to have COVID. I mean, sometimes people will outcast you. I can't come to your house for like 5 weeks because of this. No, just what? You get better, you follow the rules, and then you go back into society. But I know for me, one thing that I had after COVID, which when I see a lot of clients who had COVID, is I had hair loss. And like I'm talking clumps of hair were coming out of my head. Actually, I mean, I'm blessed that I have lots of hair, but like this is nothing. I have very little hair left, but it's stopped and it's growing back. But the stress of having COVID caused my hair to really thin. And I'm actually having like these in and outs of eyesight issues. But my understanding, and from talking to people who had COVID before me, it can take 1 year for everything to kind of level out. But I always say, no, it doesn't have to take 1 year. That's where I just say, okay, I'm going to be this, and I'm just going to get healthy and allow my body to heal how it needs to. But then I had to be kind to my body. Nobody wants their body not to function 100%, but I stopped worrying about it. Because if I worried about my hair falling out, it would have fallen out more. But trust me, it fell out a lot. So I was freaking out. No joke. And I would go to other people and say, okay, am I going to lose my hair? And if I do, I just, and they say, okay, just stop worrying about it. Just let it go. And if you do, you do. So I had to surrender to it. So I'm still learning how to stay high when things are happening to me, right? So all I'm trying to say is just be compassionate. And if you have someone who has COVID in your family, try your best to still love them. I mean, be safe. But that being isolated, like I don't want to see, is so hurtful. It makes everyone feel sad. Okay, so enough chatting. I'm just gonna see if there's any questions here, and then we'll start the healing. Was Helian sent a divine prayer. So there's a really nice thing here. So there's some stuff in the chat if you want to take a look at. Here we go. Okay, and then one more thing here. Yeah, well, I would say there's definitely interesting light and dark. And then you can see when people talk, what they're saying. If it has to do with fear, isolate, lockdown, all that, that's coming from a fear-based energy, right? And if you're listening to somebody who says, hey guys, take a deep breath, we're all going to be okay, that's coming from the light. So there's this back and forth and back and forth. So really go within and say, okay, is this information true? And then see if it's true for you. And then try to be discerning on what you're listening to, and do your best to stay in happiness and love and light, because that's when you're most powerful. That's when you're helping humanity shift. We don't need the entire population of the world to shift. We just need a percentage, because when you are in love, when you are in light, when you are holding that light and shining it on everyone, then you are actually disintegrating the darkness that are bothering, affecting so many people. So one person in alignment can actually be stronger than 1 million in not in alignment. Some people say it's 750,000. Some people say it's 500,000. I've had others say it actually could be up to 1 million. So think about all those people who are really starting to lighten up. They're adding that energy, that positive energy, and that shifting. So some of us are seeing that positive, like it is shifting, but it's taking Ontario a while to shift. Yeah. It's very interesting where we are. And sometimes I think, okay, I need to leave this place and go somewhere that's a lot lighter. And then I laugh. I'm like, who am I kidding? Where am I going? I'm staying here. But sometimes it's that fantasy to say, oh wow, just beam me up, Scotty, take me up where it's lighter. And sometimes I always ask, did I really choose to be on the planet at this time? And the answer I get is yes. It's an exciting time. And sometimes the way I get through the uncomfortable feelings is I project myself to, I'm going to say 10 years from now. It might be 5, might be 7, but I'm going to say 10 years from now. When I look back and say, wow, that was not comfortable, but we made it. And look how beautiful things are now. They're different, but they're beautiful. So the good stuff that we love, the compassion, the joy, the fun is going to stay. It's the competition, it's the greed, it's the meanness, it's the hatred that's leaving the planet. So we may not know exactly what the future is going to look like. There might be change of governments, change of school systems, all that stuff. But just know it's going to be a much more beautiful place to live, where even in corporations, it's going to be cooperative, and you're not going to feel like there's that cutthroat feeling. That's going to go. And if we have to go through this 2 steps forward, 1 step back, gross feeling, good feeling for a while, when we look back, like 10 minutes, I use my 10 years because it makes me feel good. I'm 100% sure it's 10 years at most. And it can always shift. Sometimes it feels like it's 7 years. It really depends on the human collective. And that's where that scale keeps changing, the time scale. But when we look back and say, wow, we made it. And I'm so blessed to be a part of it. I'm so blessed that I tried my best to stay in the light and hold the light for others. And, and it's beautiful. And then all that crap that we didn't like, we're going to forget about it. Anything that we don't like over time, it loses its power over us, right? Those bad memories just, we get new bad memories, but they just dissipate. So take a deep breath, go within, and just feel that love. And now we're going to put on music. And I changed my music slightly because I don't want to get in trouble, because although I bought the Duder CDs, most of his CDs, I love him. Apparently using his music and then uploading to YouTube is, I don't know, there's a word for it. It's not something, a copyright issue, I think. So if I was not going to post these on YouTube, I would continue to use his music. I'm not making money off YouTube, but there's this thing that I might be doing wrong, and I don't want to steal someone's music that I shouldn't be, because buying it for my personal use is not buying it for your use. So I have written to him and another artist I like to say, hey, can I buy the rights to some songs that I can play? I haven't heard back. So I'm trying some other music, which someone said is not copyright. It's not my favorite music, but I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube. Right. And someone's probably, if anyone knows on how I can get around this, please let me know, because I'm not the best social media and things like that. But for now, I'm just going to play by the rules. And here we go. All right, everyone. So if you're new, you're just going to take a deep breath, Allow the love to come in. I can't force it on you. It's just creating a healing space. Your higher self is going to take whatever you need to heal today, whether it's at a physical level, an emotional level, a mental level, or all of it. Your higher self knows what you need. You're on your own soul's journey. Where you are is perfect and evolving. So don't think you have to be here. No, where you are is perfect. And once you surrender to that, say, yes, where I am is perfect. And I love myself for where I am. It just gets so much easier when you don't have that pressure of I'm supposed to be here. I have to let that go because I used to say, oh my gosh, I'm this old and I'm only here and whatever. Yeah, once I just let it go, so you know what? I am where I am. I am who I am. I am doing this. It is what it is. And you know what? That pressure's gone. And then everything becomes lighter and more fun. So just kind of go with it. Go with where you're at because where you're at is perfect. So the energy will be made available. You all take it as you need it. You're like in these individual capsules. The energy knows who you are because you have a soul signature, which is unique to you. So they work on you with your higher self. It's quite beautiful. We will make the energy available to anyone in your household. It's available. It is up to their higher self to take it. Cannot be forced. Any animals in the house generally will take it because they're so open. We'll do a clearing of your homes. We'll also send the intention that this energy be made available to anyone on the planet that needs it. Because there's a lot of people out there that don't know that there's light. Like they're in a lot worse situation that, than I am in per se. So let's make that energy available to them so they can feel something calling them to say, hey, it's okay. Have a stressless sleep, have a peaceful sleep, get a good night's rest, and know they're connected. And as we send love to anyone around us, they may not take them out of the full darkness, but it chips away at the dense energy around them. So we may not notice a difference, a change, but over time, they may too start to open and allow that love and that connection and that peaceful feeling to connect and know they are okay. So with that being said, I'm going to put on the music and begin. If there's any questions, let me know. I think we're okay. So thank you for everyone who's written in the chat. And here we go. Start this. And if anyone can just let me know, I'm going to share the music so it will be a bit louder. But if it's too loud or whatnot, let me know and I'll turn it down a bit. So I just put them on. You might be able to hear it. I'm not sure if it's loud or not too loud. It's not my favorite music. I'm just trying to follow the mood. And it really doesn't matter about the music. You can turn off the music, listen to your own music. You can turn off the video. The energy's still coming your way. So have something to bring. Sound okay? All right, here we go. All right, everyone. So that if you saw the little hands there, it's my daughter. She likes the bowl. So that the energy that came in was so beautiful. The nice thing was the last call we had, there was a lot more anxiety, and the anxiety is subsiding. I think people are getting it to go in the heart. The energy, the kind of when we were doing the session, I'm always asking for things to be cut. Like there's so much happening in the background. You're cutting cords that are no longer serving you. We're going to past life, ancestral wounds, family constellation issues, imprints, negative thought patterns, broadcast messages, things, oaths and vows and contracts and hexes and curses and things that we don't really have to discuss. But when we do a healing like this, it is happening at so many different levels. Like it's not just one issue leaving. It's a percentage of many different things. It's almost like a collection of 1,000 things in your field that are going. So the neat thing is, it's whatever your soul knows that you're ready to release gets released. And whatever leaves today doesn't come back. It's gone. So you're energetically lighter, you're holding more light in, and then your next layer is ready to come out. So the beautiful thing is you can be naturally healing in between sessions. Saying affirmations are so powerful. Like my house is full of love, joy, and happiness and harmony. And you know what? If you say that over and over and over, no one who's going to come in will do counter that, because your intention of your house being full of love, joy, happiness, and harmony is that your request. That is your house. You have, this is our safe place where we can create the feeling we want. And then people who aren't resonating on that are just going to bypass your house. They're not going to want to come over. So sometimes I think when, someone says, oh, they don't want to come by my house. Yeah, I'm like, okay, it is what it is. It can be for many different reasons. So, you create your own reality based on your thought patterns. So I know when we're not feeling good, I always say, I'm not feeling good, I'm not feeling good. Or, I have someone in my life that always says, oh no, poor me, this again. And this always happens to me. I go, of course it's always going to happen to you because you always say that. And then they tell me to shut up because I irritate them. But I'm watching it from the other side, right? So it's just funny because and I guess it is irritating, especially when you're not in a good place. You don't want to hear someone say, keep saying that, you're going to keep getting it. But isn't it true that if you look around to people in your lives, what they talk about, they're getting more and more of? And that's why we're all having different experiences right now, because we're creating what we want to see. And I used the analogy before, there can be 10 people walking down the same street. And depending on their vibration, their mental state, their perceptions, their, everything that they were all very different. We're going to have 10 different experiences. Someone's experience is going to be like, oh my goodness, I saw a rainbow, I saw birds, I saw people smiling. That's one extreme. You're going to get someone who said, oh my God, it was the scariest walk down that street. It felt so dark. People were looking at me mean. And you're going to get everyone in between, because we're all creating our own life. Whatever we think about grows. So you want to focus on your health, your happiness, your fun. Like, okay, maybe I don't get enough fun right now. Actually, someone told me I don't get enough fun right now. Yeah, I guess, but I don't feel it. So in my little silliness that I'm in, I'm having a great time. I'm not out and about, but I'm having fun. So that my fun's coming in my own head in a different way. It's all perception, right? So be kind to yourself, love yourself. And if you don't do such a good job one day, just forgive yourself and start again. Don't wait for New Year's. I mean, Happy New Year, by the way, but don't wait till the 31st. You start now. And if something happens and you failed, You start now again. You don't wait till the next day. Oh, I'll start fresh tomorrow. No, you start now. It's like if you ate a sweet because you caved and you're on a diet. Don't say, okay, well, I'll just be bad for the rest of the day and I'll start fresh in the morning. No, just say, okay, I did it. I enjoyed it. And I start now. So it is now. This is where you take control of your life in the now, this second. And again, if we don't do so great, you just forgive yourself and start over, because the more you practice, it gets easier and you stay higher longer. So it's very natural to stay up and dip and get sick. It's okay. Be kind to yourself. Get out of it. Sometimes our sicknesses, our worst times in our life are our biggest blessings.